Havenwood Bluffs slept beneath a sliver of moon, its streets empty and silent, wrapped in the deep calm of pre-dawn. The air was crisp, scented with pine and the promise of morning dew. Every house stood quiet, families lost in dreams, the world outside undisturbed. The town's single traffic light blinked amber over deserted crossroads. A child's bicycle lay abandoned on a porch, a book left open beside a sleeping reader. The playground was still, swings unmoving in the hush. Havenwood Bluffs was a portrait of peace, its routine unbroken, its safety unquestioned. But in these final moments before sunrise, the ordinary details of life were simply props, waiting for a story no one could imagine. The stage was set for a day that would shatter everything. Dawn arrived, painting the sky in pink and gold, casting a gentle glow over the rooftops of Havenwood Bluffs. The world seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for something to stir. Normally, the first light would bring the familiar sounds of life, birds calling, dogs barking, the distant hum of engines, but today, there was nothing. The air itself felt heavy, as if weighed down by an invisible presence. The town remained eerily silent, its streets and squares empty, untouched by the usual morning bustle. Not a single window opened, no doors creaked, and not even the wind seemed to dare disturb the stillness. No engines, no laughter, no footsteps, just a heavy, unnatural quiet that pressed in from all sides. It was as if the entire town had been paused, frozen in a moment between night and day. Outsiders were the first to notice. Those who arrived expecting the usual warmth and activity found only emptiness. The silence was so complete, it seemed to echo. A delivery driver, used to the friendly greetings of the grocer, found the store locked tight, lights off, and not a soul in sight. Confused, he knocked, but no one answered. A commuter, expecting the usual morning traffic, drove through empty streets, passing house after house with curtains drawn and driveways empty. The town felt abandoned, as if everyone had simply vanished overnight. Calls to the police went unanswered. The station itself was deserted, phones ringing into the void, their shrill tones unanswered and unsettling. Phones rang endlessly in empty homes, their persistent ringing a stark reminder of the absence that now filled every room. The silence was suffocating, a void where life should be. Playgrounds stood empty, swings unmoving, and parks were nothing but silent witnesses to whatever had happened. By mid-morning, county police arrived, their siren briefly pierced in the hush before fading away, swallowed by the overwhelming quiet. Officers stepped onto the main street, stunned by the emptiness that greeted them. They called out, but their voices only bounced back from empty buildings. The sun climbed higher, illuminating a ghost town, houses full of belongings, meals left uneaten but utterly devoid of people. It was as if time itself had stopped for Havenwood Bluffs. The great vanishing had begun to reveal itself, a mystery that would soon grip the nation. The world outside watched, bewildered and anxious, as Havenwood Bluffs became an island of silence, a place where the ordinary had been replaced by the inexplicable. The mystery was only beginning, and the questions it raised would haunt everyone who heard of the town that vanished at dawn. Investigators moved from house to house, their footsteps echoing in the eerie quiet. They found no signs of struggle, no evidence of panic or hurried departure. It was as if the residents had simply stepped out for a moment, yet none ever returned. The silence was thick, unsettling, and every room they entered seemed to whisper of lives interrupted. Breakfasts sat half-eaten, milk still cool to the touch, and the faint hum of televisions filled empty rooms. The morning news played to no audience. Cartoons flickered for children who were no longer there, toast browned in forgotten toasters, and coffee cooled in mugs, untouched. The ordinary routines of daily life had been abandoned in an instant, as if time itself had faltered. In every house, life had paused mid-motion, a kettle cooling on the counter, a child's blocks scattered across the carpet, a dog's leash hanging by the door, waiting for a walk that would never come. Shoes sat by the mat, jackets draped over chairs, and the faint scent of breakfast lingered in the air. It was as if the entire town had been caught in a single, unfinished moment. Cars waited in driveways, some with keys still in the ignition, as if their owners had meant to return in just a minute. Wallets and phones were left behind on seats, purses on passenger sides, doors unlocked. The world outside was untouched, no tire tracks, no footprints, just the quiet hum of engines cooling in the morning air. It wasn't an evacuation, there were no signs of warning, no hurried packing, no chaos. It was as if people had simply ceased to exist, leaving behind only the shell of their daily lives. The streets were empty, the houses silent, and the entire neighborhood felt suspended in a strange, haunting stillness. The entire population, from infants in cribs to elders with canes, had vanished without a trace. Playgrounds stood empty, swings swaying gently in the breeze. School hallways echoed with silence, lockers left ajar, lessons unfinished. The absence was total, absolute, and inexplicable. The town remained perfectly preserved, a hollow shell of ordinary life. Lawns were neatly trimmed, mail sat unopened in boxes, and park benches waited for conversations that would never happen. It was a portrait of normalcy, frozen in time, yet utterly devoid of the people who gave it meaning. No one could comprehend the scale. Over 1,000 souls, gone in an instant. The aerial view revealed a town untouched by disaster, yet emptied of life. Public squares, once bustling, now stood silent. The magnitude of the disappearance left investigators and families alike grasping for answers. Havenwood Bluffs became a monument to a moment frozen in time. As the sun set over the quiet streets, shadows stretched across empty sidewalks. Shops remained closed, their windows reflecting only the passing clouds. The town was a living memory, untouched yet forever changed. The evidence of lives lived lingered everywhere. Family photos on mantels, dishes in the sink, toys and shoes scattered in hallways. Each object told a story, a fragment of a life suddenly interrupted. The weight of absence pressed in from every corner. The soul of the town had been ripped away, leaving only silence and the faint echo of what once was. The wind carried whispers through empty playgrounds and down deserted streets, a haunting reminder of the lives that had vanished. The world stared at a mystery with no beginning, no end. News anchors speculated, experts debated, and families mourned. The disappearance of Havenwood Bluffs became a global enigma, a puzzle with no pieces, a question with no answer. The town that time forgot stood as a haunting question, its empty streets and silent homes a riddle that may never be solved. In the quiet dawn, Havenwood Bluffs waited, holding its secrets close, a silent testament to the day an entire community simply disappeared. The most chilling detail was the utter lack of evidence. In a world where every crime leaves a trace, every disappearance a clue, Havenwood Bluffs stood apart. There were no broken windows, no overturned furniture, not even a single scuff mark on the floor. It was as if the people had simply evaporated, leaving behind only the faintest echoes of their lives. Forensic teams found no forced entry, no violence, no panic, just untouched homes. Toys were still scattered in playrooms, dinner plates sat on tables and televisions glowed with paused shows. The ordinary details of daily life remained frozen in time, as if the families had stepped out for a moment and never returned. Geologists, meteorologists, and search teams found nothing. No disaster, no gas, no weather event. The air was clear, the ground undisturbed, and the skies held no secrets. Every scientific explanation was tested and discarded, leaving only confusion in their wake. The laws of nature seemed to have paused over Havenwood Bluffs. Time itself felt suspended, the silence pressing in from every corner. Even the birds and animals seemed to avoid the area, as if sensing something deeply wrong. No ransom notes, no claims of responsibility, no digital clues, just a wall of silence. Phones rang unanswered, emails went unread, and social media accounts fell eerily quiet. There was no demand, no threat, no hint of motive. The last messages, the last posts, all stopped at the same moment. It was as if an invisible hand had pressed pause on every life in town, freezing their final words and actions in digital amber. Searchers scoured the woods and hills but found no footprints, no camps, no sign of escape. Dogs picked up no scent, and thermal cameras revealed nothing but empty fields and silent trees. It was as if 1,000 people had vanished into thin air. The town's heart had stopped beating, leaving only empty streets and unanswered questions. The absence of clues became the most terrifying clue of all. Investigators were left with nothing to follow, no leads to chase, only the oppressive weight of the unknown. The investigation hit a dead end, leaving only questions. Every theory collapsed under scrutiny, every hope of resolution faded with each passing day. Havenwood Bluffs was now a riddle beyond reason, a place where the impossible had happened, and the truth remained just out of reach. In the void of evidence, theories flourished. Some blamed a silent environmental killer, gas, virus, or unknown toxin, but tests found nothing. Others whispered of secret experiments, government cover-ups, or advanced technology gone wrong. Lacking proof, these ideas remained speculation. Theories turned to the paranormal, alien abduction, rapture, or forces beyond comprehension. The lack of struggle suggested something powerful, something clean and absolute. Each theory was just a story, an attempt to explain the inexplicable. The truth eluded everyone, leaving only fear and speculation. The mystery deepened, unsolved and unsettling. For families and friends, the disappearance was a living nightmare. They gathered at barricades, clutching photos, desperate for answers. Authorities offered only sympathy and daily briefings with no news. Grief turned to agonizing limbo. No funerals, no closure, just endless waiting. Some clung to hope, others fell into despair, haunted by memories of unfinished lives. Support groups formed, united by loss and the refusal to let the world forget. Their pain was the only tangible thing left behind. The vanished left no trace, but their absence shaped those who remained. The anguish of the left behind became the story's human heart. The investigation became the largest in modern history. Experts from every field combed the town, searching for patterns, secrets, or anomalies. Digital lives were scrutinized, but revealed only ordinary routines, until everything stopped at once. Psychics and scientists alike found nothing but silence. Every object was catalogued, every lead evaporated. The final report offered no answers, only the admission of total bafflement. The search for ghosts ended with emptiness. Havenwood Bluffs remained a silent, unsolved enigma. Years later, Havenwood Bluffs stands untouched, a ghost town sealed by barricades and memory. Nature reclaims the streets, ivy climbing silent houses. The town is legend now, fodder for documentaries, debates, and endless speculation. It's a symbol of the limits of human knowledge, a mystery that refuses to fade. For families, the wound never healed. They hold vigils, clutching photos of loved ones frozen in time. Grief lingers, a quiet echo of the event. The enigma endures, reminding us how fragile our reality truly is. Havenwood Bluffs stands as a warning. Order can vanish in an instant. The story remains unsolved, its truth perhaps beyond our understanding. The silence of the town is its only answer. Today, the mystery of Havenwood Bluffs endures, deeper than ever. The town is a pilgrimage site for the curious, a symbol more imagined than real. Its legacy is not answers, but questions that challenge our understanding of the world. Was it nature, human design, or something else? Each theory leads only to more uncertainty. The case remains the ultimate cold case, a puzzle with no solution. Experts have learned humility. Some mysteries resist every tool and theory. The emotional legacy is profound. Half-eaten breakfasts, waiting dogs, families suspended in uncertainty. The town is empty, but filled with the ghosts of unanswered questions. Its story simply stopped, leaving us all to wonder. Havenwood Bluffs is a monument to the unknowable. February 2nd, 2026. A Tuesday. It began like any other day, with the promise of routine and the comfort of the familiar. But as the first light crept over the horizon, something was different, something no one could quite name. In Oakhaven, the sun rose as usual, painting the sky in soft golds and pinks, but the world felt wrong. The air was heavy, as if the town itself sensed what was coming. The familiar morning sounds, cars rumbling down the street, dogs barking, neighbors greeting each other were gone. The silence was suffocating, pressing in from every direction, making even the birds seem hesitant to sing. Emergency calls trickled in, confused, anxious. A lorry driver reported empty streets, headlights cutting through the dawn with no one to see them. An elderly woman, voice trembling, couldn't reach her daughter and felt utterly alone. The dispatcher tried to reassure, her own voice betraying uncertainty. With every call, unease grew, spreading like a chill through the wires and into every home. It wasn't just one street or one block. The entire town was silent, as if the world had pressed pause on Oakhaven and left it suspended in a moment of eerie stillness. The school was empty, its playground swings creaking in the wind, moving with a ghostly rhythm. Not a single child's laughter echoed across the yard. The bakery's dough was abandoned mid-rise, ovens cold. Newspapers lay untouched on doorsteps, headlines already irrelevant in the face of the unknown. Over 1,000 people had vanished. No notes, no signs, just gone. Their breakfasts half-eaten, their lives paused mid-sentence. The scale was unimaginable, not a fire, not a flood, just a void where life had been. No alarms, no warnings, only absence. First responders drove through, their sirens silent, feeling a fear they'd never known. The streets offered no clues, only questions. Every house was a monument to a missing family. Family photos smiled from mantels. Untouched toys lay scattered on floors, as if waiting for children who would never return. Every empty car, a question. Engines still warm, doors left ajar, as if their owners had simply stepped out for a moment and vanished into thin air. Oakhaven, once charming and full of life, was now the epicenter of a mystery that defied reality. The town's storybook streets had become the setting for something unthinkable. The world was about to wake up to a nightmare. As the sun climbed higher, the truth began to dawn. Something impossible had happened here. The silence was so deep, it felt like the town itself was holding its breath, waiting for someone to break the spell. Police officers moved cautiously, their radios crackling in the stillness, every footstep echoing louder than it should. They knocked on doors, called out names, but no one answered. The only reply was the wind, whispering through empty streets. The absence was total, no sign of struggle, no hurried departure. It was as if the people had simply evaporated, leaving their world behind. It was as if the people had simply ceased to exist. Breakfast sat cooling on tables, televisions played to empty rooms. The responders exchanged worried glances, realizing this was no ordinary emergency. The rules they knew no longer applied. News of the vanishing spread quickly, drawing attention from beyond the town. Reporters arrived, their cameras capturing the emptiness, their voices hushed with disbelief. Oakhaven's mystery was about to become the world's obsession. Satellite images flashed across screens and people everywhere watched, searching for answers that wouldn't come. The first day ended with more questions than answers. Exhausted responders regrouped, their faces etched with worry as the sun dipped below the horizon. The sun set on a town frozen in time, untouched and unexplained. Darkness crept in, but the mystery only deepened. The world would never be the same. Oakhaven's silence echoed far beyond its borders, unsettling everyone who heard its story. Oakhaven had become a riddle with no beginning and no end, a question mark on the map, haunting the world's imagination. Oakhaven felt like a film set after everyone had left, except this was real. The silence was thick, almost tangible, as if the town itself was holding its breath, waiting for someone to shout, "Cut," and bring life back to its empty streets. Breakfast tables were set, kettles filled, TVs still on, but no one was there. The routines of daily life had been abandoned in an instant, as if everyone had simply vanished mid-morning, leaving behind a world paused in time. First responders moved quietly, their footsteps echoing on empty pavements. Every sound seemed amplified, every movement deliberate, as they searched for any sign of life or clue to what had happened. They called out, but only the wind replied. The rustling leaves and distant creak of a sign swinging in the breeze were the only answers they received. Inside homes, everything was in place. Wallets, keys, pets wandering, confused. Dogs barked at the door, cats meowed for their owners, but no one came. No signs of panic or struggle. It was as if the people of Oakhaven had simply melted away, leaving their lives untouched and undisturbed. It was as if people had evaporated. The town square, once bustling with morning chatter, now stood eerily still beneath the rising sun. The pub had half-finished pints, a dart game frozen mid-throw. Glasses sweated on the bar, untouched, as if their owners would return any moment. The normalcy made the disappearance even more chilling. Everyday objects sat in their usual places, mocking the idea that life here had ever been ordinary. Only a handful on the town's outskirts remained, left to wonder why they were spared. They wandered the edges of Oakhaven, searching for answers, haunted by the emptiness. They became the first witnesses, haunted by survivors' guilt. Their memories of laughter and community now felt like distant echoes in a world that had changed overnight. The silence was overwhelming, a constant reminder of what was lost. Every empty room and quiet street pressed in on them, heavy with absence. Oakhaven was now a void, its story just beginning. The mystery of its vanishing would soon draw the eyes of the world. The world was watching, desperate for answers, as Oakhaven's silent streets became the center of a growing storm of questions and fear. Overnight, Oakhaven was transformed into a sprawling crime scene, its quiet streets now echoing with the urgency of a desperate search. The town's familiar calm was shattered, replaced by flashing lights and the hum of engines. Police, rescue teams, and the military poured in, sealing off the town from the outside world. Barricades went up, and the once open streets became a maze of checkpoints and flashing lights. Every building was searched, every inch of land combed. Teams moved methodically, leaving no stone unturned, determined to find any sign of life or clue to what had happened. Forensic teams documented abandoned meals, toys, and beds, ghost stories in every home. The evidence of sudden departure was everywhere, haunting in its ordinariness. Searchers moved through fields, woods, and rivers, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, while drones buzzed overhead, scanning from above for any trace of the missing. Divers scoured the reservoir, rescue boats swept the misty lake, but nothing surfaced, no evidence, no answers, no bodies, no clues, no evidence of violence or escape. Investigators were left with empty hands and even emptier explanations. It was as if 1,000 people had been plucked from existence, leaving behind only silence and unanswered questions. The lack of evidence was the most baffling clue of all. Every theory collapsed under the weight of the impossible. The searchers grew weary, their determination slowly turning to frustration and doubt as the hours dragged on. The silence mocked their efforts, a constant reminder of how little they truly knew. Oakhaven's mystery only deepened with every fruitless search, the sense of unease growing with each passing day. The town remained untouched, its secret unbroken, as if time itself had paused in the wake of the disappearance. The world demanded answers, but Oakhaven gave none. The eyes of the nation watched, but the town kept its silence. The investigation had hit an invisible wall, and the truth remained just out of reach, hidden somewhere in the shadows of Oakhaven. Investigators turned to technology, certain it would reveal the truth. They tracked phones. Every device was still in Oakhaven, powered on, untouched. Digital activity stopped abruptly at 2:30 a.m. After that, nothing. CCTV footage showed a normal night, then a blinding white flash at 2:33 a.m. In the next frame, the streets were empty, cars stopped, people gone. Experts analyzed the flash. No radiation, no electromagnetic pulse, no known phenomenon. Signals intelligence found nothing unusual. The digital world, like the physical, offered no answers. The only clue was the inexplicable white flash. Technology, expected to solve the mystery, only deepened it. The digital silence mirrored the empty streets. Oakhaven's disappearance defied logic and science. The world's best minds were left with nothing but questions. The town's digital ghosts haunted investigators. Weeks passed, the search relentless but fruitless. Investigators rechecked every house, every field, every record. Geologists scanned underground, nothing but earth and pipes. No ransom, no motive, no evidence of crime. Criminal profilers and psychologists were stumped. The case files grew, each ending with no explanation found. The focus shifted from rescue to a forensic puzzle. International experts offered wild theories but no answers. Every lead, no matter how strange, led nowhere. Folklore, astronomy, even parapsychology. Nothing explained the void. Oakhaven sat at the center of a whirlwind of activity, but remained silent. The exhaustive search yielded nothing. The town was a perfect vacuum of information. The mystery was absolute. With no answers, speculation exploded. Rational theories, chemical leaks, mass abduction were quickly dismissed. The white flash became the focus of wild debate. Alien abduction, dimensional portals, government experiments, every possibility was discussed. Conspiracy theories flourished, the lack of evidence fueling suspicion. Oakhaven became a symbol of the unknown, a global obsession. People everywhere wondered, could it happen to us? The mystery preyed on deep fears of the inexplicable. Oakhaven was no longer just a place, it was a warning. The questions only grew, unanswered and unsettling. Oakhaven's story became a global phenomenon. News crews camped at the perimeter, broadcasting to millions. The world watched, captivated and horrified. The investigation was under intense scrutiny, but answers never came. Documentaries, books and podcasts tried to fill the gaps. The missing became the world's neighbors, their faces everywhere. Pilgrims and curiosity seekers flocked to the town's edge, leaving tributes. Oakhaven became a cultural touchstone, a symbol of unsolved mystery. The town's tragedy was a mirror for global anxiety. The world saw its own vulnerability reflected in Oakhaven's empty streets. 1 year later, Oakhaven remains under quarantine, perfectly preserved. Government crews maintain the town, keeping it frozen in the moment of vanishing. The silence is deeper, the loss more profound. The few spared residents have mostly left, unable to bear the reminders. Their grief is overshadowed by the world's fascination. Oakhaven is a scar, a question mark on the landscape. No plans exist to repopulate it. The shadow of the event is too great. The town stands as a chilling testament to the unknown. Time has stopped here, suspended by mystery. Oakhaven is a modern ruin, pristine but empty. Oakhaven's legacy is not answers, but questions. The Great Vanishing is the ultimate cold case, a puzzle with no pieces. It has shaken our faith in the world's stability. The unexplained event has fueled new interest in mysteries and the paranormal. Scientists debate, families grieve, but closure is impossible. The missing are not dead, just gone, leaving loved ones in limbo. Oakhaven stands as a monument to the limits of human knowledge. For all our science, some things remain beyond comprehension. The silent town waits, a question carved into the countryside. The world holds its breath, still wondering. Oakhaven endures, a silent, enduring enigma. The morning of October 14, 2024, began with an unnatural quiet in Blackwood Creek. The usual sounds of life, birds, distant engines, the chatter of neighbors, were missing, replaced by a stillness that felt almost heavy in the air. Sheriff Brody Miller drove through the deserted main street, expecting the usual bustle, but found only silence. The familiar faces he greeted each morning were nowhere to be seen, and the town felt like a stage set after the actors had left. The town felt abandoned. No lights in the cafe, no baker at work, no children playing. Even the playground swings hung motionless, untouched by laughter or little hands. Brody's footsteps echoed as he checked the bakery. Unbaked dough on the counter, door swinging open, no sign of Mr. Henderson. The air inside was thick with the scent of flour, and something else, unease. Every house and shop was the same, meals left unfinished, TVs still on, but not a soul in sight. It was as if everyone had simply vanished in the middle of their daily routines, leaving their lives paused mid-sentence. It was as if the entire population had vanished in an instant. The streets, usually alive with the sounds of community, now echoed with emptiness. Brody radioed for backup, his voice betraying fear. "Dispatch, this is Sheriff Miller. The town is empty. Everyone is gone." The static on the other end seemed to stretch on forever, before a shaken reply came through. Law enforcement arrived, disbelief on their faces, and began a frantic search. Officers fanned out, calling names into the silence, hoping for any response. Cars sat in driveways, homes were undisturbed, but the people were simply gone. There were no signs of panic, no hurried departures, just an eerie, perfect stillness. Search teams swept the woods, used thermal cameras and drones, but found no trace, no footprints, no struggle, nothing. It was as if the earth itself had swallowed the townspeople whole. Over 1,000 men, women, and children had disappeared without a clue. The schoolyard, once filled with laughter, now stood silent and empty. The town was frozen in time, a ghostly snapshot of life interrupted. Every detail remained, except for the people who gave it meaning. The silence was suffocating, the absence of life overwhelming. Even the wind seemed to whisper questions that no one could answer. Investigators found no evidence of evacuation or violence. No messages, no warnings, no sign of what had come or where everyone had gone. The disappearance was total, clean, and inexplicable. It defied logic, leaving only questions in its wake. News of the event spread quickly, drawing national attention. Reporters and camera crews descended on Blackwood Creek, searching for answers that no one could provide. Theories began to swirl, but no one could explain what had happened. Some whispered about mass abduction, others about supernatural forces. Blackwood Creek became the center of a chilling mystery. The town's name was now spoken in hushed tones across the country. Families and friends of the missing were left in shock and disbelief. Grief and confusion mingled as they clung to hope, desperate for answers. The town's fate was sealed as one of the greatest unsolved disappearances in modern history. Blackwood Creek would never be the same. The search for answers had only just begun. Teams mapped out every inch of the area, determined not to give up. The world watched, waiting for any sign, any clue. Each newscast brought only more questions, and the mystery deepened with every passing hour. But Blackwood Creek remained silent. The darkness brought no answers, only more uncertainty. The mystery had begun, and the questions would only multiply. Each clue led to another dead end, each theory to more confusion. The day the silence fell marked the start of a puzzle with no pieces, and as the sun rose over the empty streets, the world realized that some mysteries are meant to haunt us forever. Blackwood Creek was once a postcard-perfect town, a place that seemed untouched by time and the troubles of the outside world. Nestled deep in a remote North Yorkshire valley, it was surrounded by rolling hills and thick woods, almost hidden from view. With just over 1,000 residents, it was a close-knit community where everyone knew each other's names, stories, and secrets. Its isolation made the disappearance even more baffling. There were no roads in or out that night, no sign of mass movement, no vehicles leaving. The last sign of life was a teenager's social media post at 11:47 p.m. Quiet night. It was an ordinary message, but it would become haunting in retrospect. After midnight, all communication ceased. No calls, no internet, nothing but silence. It was as if the town had simply gone to sleep and never woken up. By dawn, Blackwood Creek was severed from reality, its streets eerily empty, its homes untouched. Homes were left as if paused mid-routine, kettles filled, glasses half empty, children's drawings still taped to the walls, toys scattered on the floor. There were no signs of panic or struggle, no evidence of evacuation, no hurried packing or abandoned vehicles. It was as if the people had been erased in an instant, leaving only their belongings and daily lives behind. Investigators found no tracks, no scents, no clues, nothing to suggest where the townspeople had gone. Even search dogs were confused, circling aimlessly, unable to pick up any trail or familiar scent. Blackwood Creek became a sterile exhibit, a chilling tableau of a community that had simply ceased to exist, frozen in time. The central enigma remains: how could over 1,000 people vanish without a trace, leaving behind only silence and mystery? In the absence of evidence, theories flourished. Some suspected a mass abduction or secret relocation, but the logistics seemed impossible. Others whispered about government experiments, given the town's proximity to military sites. The supernatural and extraterrestrial gained traction. Alien abduction, a tear in reality, ancient curses. Local legends of strange lights and disappearances resurfaced. Each theory was debated endlessly, but none could be proven. The mystery of Blackwood Creek became a mirror for humanity's deepest fears of the unknown. The idea of a government experiment gone wrong became a leading theory. Blackwood Creek's location near military installations fueled suspicion. Dr. Eris Thorne, a physicist, suggested a quantum-level event, perhaps a failed teleportation or energy weapon test. A leaked document mentioned Janus Gate, a device for creating wormholes, but was quickly dismissed as a forgery. Critics argued such an event would leave detectable traces or whistleblowers. Yet no energy signatures matched known technology, and the government denied involvement. The theory painted a picture of secrecy and power, but offered no proof. Families were left with mistrust and unanswered questions. The truth remained elusive, buried beneath layers of speculation. A handful of witness accounts from the outskirts of Blackwood Creek added eerie details to the mystery, painting a picture of a night unlike any other in the town's history. Frank Gable, a lorry driver, saw the sky pulse with silent emerald green light over the moors around 1:30 a.m., a sight so strange he pulled over, unable to look away. Amateur astronomers on a nearby ridge reported a shimmering distortion above the town, stars warping, and a low, unsettling hum that seemed to vibrate through the ground itself. Their panic left them with no photographic evidence, but their stories matched. a powerful, silent event with strange lights and a sense of overwhelming dread. The most chilling account came from Eleanor Vance, who called her sister in terror. "They're singing. It's not human. The light, it's everywhere." The call ended abruptly, leaving only static. When investigators arrived, Eleanor was gone. Her door open, tea spilled, her dog cowering in the shadows, refusing to come out. She became the 1,039th victim, vanishing without a trace, her disappearance echoing the fate of so many others. These accounts, though unverified, described a moment when Blackwood Creek was unplugged from reality, as if the town itself slipped into another world. The witnesses glimpsed something inexplicable, a fleeting intersection with the unknown, leaving them forever changed. Their testimonies deepened the mystery, hinting at forces beyond comprehension, and left investigators with more questions than answers. The event was silent, sudden, and absolute, as if time itself had paused for a single, terrifying moment. No evidence remained, only stories and fear lingering in the empty spaces left behind. The witnesses' words became part of the legend, whispered in pubs and written in old journals. Their fear was palpable, their confusion real, and their memories haunted by what they had seen. The world listened, but found no answers, only more questions and growing unease. The accounts fueled speculation, but solved nothing, leaving the truth just out of reach. Blackwood Creek's fate remained a chilling enigma, its story echoing through the years as a warning and a mystery yet unsolved. Satellite data revealed inexplicable energy spikes over Blackwood Creek that night. Bursts of electromagnetic energy, including gamma and microwave radiation, were detected, unlike anything seen before. Dr. Lena Petrova described a massive contained pulse at 1 to 41 a.m., followed by rhythmic pulses. The energy signature matched no known natural or human phenomenon. The readings should have left lethal radiation, but the town's levels were normal. The laws of physics seemed suspended for those few minutes. The satellite data confirmed something extraordinary happened, but not what. The scientific community was stumped, and the data only deepened the mystery. The event left a ghostly fingerprint, immense power, no trace. With science failing, many turned to the supernatural. Local historian Alistair Finch spoke of thin places in the valley, ancient sites where reality is fragile, legends of people vanishing, strange music, and lights gained new relevance. The theory: Blackwood Creek was pulled into another dimension. The energy pulse is a side effect of a rift opening and closing. No bodies, no struggle, just instant disappearance. For some, this offered comfort. Their loved ones might still exist, somewhere. The supernatural theory was impossible to prove, but it gave hope where none remained. The mystery became a modern legend, blurring the line between fact and folklore. For the families, the mystery was agony, not intrigue. Those who returned found their lives erased, loved ones gone without a trace. They formed the Blackwood Creek Families Association, vowing never to give up. Weekly vigils, private investigations, and relentless advocacy became their routine. Sarah Jennings, whose family vanished, became their voice. We deserve to know what happened. The search for answers was exhausting, hope fragile, every lead dissolved, every theory deepened the pain. The absence of closure was torture, no bodies, no goodbyes. Yet their love and determination endured, a human constant in an inhuman mystery. Their vigil was a stand against the unknown, a refusal to let the vanished be forgotten. Today, Blackwood Creek remains sealed off, a ghost town frozen in time. The name is now synonymous with the inexplicable, a warning of reality's fragility. The event scarred the region, property values fell, families left, and unease lingers. The town is a monument to unanswered questions, a modern folktale with a chilling core. Theories crumble under scrutiny, the truth remains out of reach. For the world, the mystery has faded, but for the families, the silence is eternal. Hope flickers, but answers seem ever more distant. The fate of Blackwood Creek endures as one of the greatest enigmas of our time. Some stories are so strange, they feel like they belong in a different world. They echo through time, whispered on the wind, leaving us to wonder if they ever truly happened at all. These are the tales that haunt the edges of our imagination, blurring the line between history and legend. This is one of those stories, a place there one day, gone the next. A community that simply vanished, leaving behind only silence and shadows. The world moved on, but the mystery remained, growing deeper with every passing year. Imagine a thriving colony, full of hope, suddenly vanishing overnight. One moment, laughter and life filled the air. The next, only emptiness and questions remained. It's as if the earth itself swallowed them whole, erasing every trace of their existence. Not a few people, but over 100 men, women, and children. Gone. Families, friends, and neighbors, all with dreams and plans for the future, simply disappeared. Their hopes, their struggles, their very lives, lost to the mists of time. This isn't fiction. This is the real-life mystery of the Roanoke colony. A story that has puzzled historians, archaeologists, and storytellers for centuries, and continues to spark curiosity and debate to this day. In 1587, more than 100 English settlers landed on Roanoke Island, seeking a new life. They crossed a vast and dangerous ocean, driven by hope and the promise of a fresh start in a new world. Their journey was perilous, but their determination was unwavering. They built homes, started families, and even welcomed Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the New World. The colony was a symbol of possibility, a beacon for those who dreamed of a better life across the sea. But that promise of a future was never realized. The entire colony disappeared, leaving only questions. The settlement was found eerily empty, as if everyone had simply walked away, leaving their lives behind. No signs of struggle, no bodies, just an empty settlement and a single word carved into wood. The silence was deafening, the absence of answers almost unbearable. Their leader, John White, left for supplies and returned 3 years later to find everything gone. The people he loved, the community he helped build, had vanished without a trace. His heartbreak was matched only by his confusion. The only clue, a word carved into a post. Croatoan. Was it a message, a clue, or a warning? No one knows for sure. The meaning of that single word has fueled endless speculation and countless theories. The trail was cold, but the mystery was alive. Search parties scoured the land, but found nothing. The fate of the lost colony became one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries, a puzzle that refuses to be solved. The disappearance of Roanoke is more than a puzzle. It's a haunting reminder that some stories never get answers. It lingers in our collective memory, a ghostly echo from the past, urging us to keep searching, to keep wondering, and to never stop asking what really happened on the night the stars fell silent. To truly grasp the mystery of Roanoke's disappearance, we must first understand the people who vanished and the world they inhabited. These were not just nameless settlers, they were men, women, and children, each with hopes, fears, and dreams of a new life across the ocean. The Roanoke colonists were families, artisans, farmers, and laborers, led by John White, a man of vision and determination. They left behind everything familiar, risking the unknown for the promise of a better future in the New World. In 1587, after a perilous journey across the Atlantic, they arrived on the shores of Roanoke Island. Their mission was to establish the first permanent English settlement in North America, a bold and daunting task. But the dream quickly collided with harsh reality. Supplies ran dangerously low, and the settlers faced hunger, disease, and uncertainty. The land was unfamiliar, and survival became a daily struggle. Tensions with local tribes simmered beneath the surface, sometimes erupting into open conflict. The colonists' presence was not always welcome, and misunderstandings could quickly turn deadly. John White, an artist as well as a leader, documented the land and its people in vivid watercolors. His paintings offer us rare glimpses into the world of both the settlers and the indigenous tribes, capturing moments that would otherwise be lost to time. As conditions worsened, the desperate colonists pleaded with White to return to England for help. It was a heart-wrenching decision. He left behind his daughter, Eleanor Dare, and his newborn granddaughter, Virginia, the first English child born in America. Before departing, the settlers made a pact. If they were forced to relocate, they would carve the name of their destination into a tree. If they were in danger, they would add a Maltese cross to the message, a simple code meant to guide White on his return. With a heavy heart, White sailed back to England, expecting to return within a few months. But fate intervened. War with Spain delayed his journey, and it would be 3 long years before he could return. That was the last time any European laid eyes on the Roanoke colonists. When White finally returned, he found the settlement eerily deserted, the people gone without a trace. The plan had been clear, but fate had other ideas. The clues left behind only deepened the mystery, raising more questions than answers. The colony's only lifeline to the outside world was severed, and so began one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries: the vanishing of the lost colony of Roanoke. John White's return to Roanoke was not just delayed, it was plagued by the chaos of war with Spain. The seas were dangerous, and every ship was needed for England's defense. White, desperate to return, found himself powerless, watching the years slip away as the fate of his colony remained unknown. For 3 long years he was trapped in England, haunted by thoughts of his family and the settlers he had left behind. Each night, he wondered if they were safe, if they had survived, or if he would ever see them again. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, and the silence from across the ocean grew heavier with every passing month. In 1590, on the day his granddaughter Eleanor Dare would have turned 3, White finally set foot again on Roanoke Island. The journey was perilous, but hope drove him forward, clinging to the belief that he might find his loved ones alive. As the landing party approached, they spotted a thin column of smoke curling above the trees. For a moment, hope flickered in their hearts. Perhaps it was a signal, a sign that someone was waiting for them. But when they reached the settlement, an eerie silence greeted them. The village was deserted. No laughter, no voices, not even the faintest echo of life remained. Overgrown paths and empty houses told a story of sudden departure. The houses were not destroyed by violence or fire. Instead, they had been carefully dismantled as if the settlers had taken their time to remove what they could before leaving. The defensive palisade still stood, weathered but intact. There were no signs of struggle, no bloodshed, no evidence of an attack. It was as if the entire colony had simply vanished into thin air. No bodies were found, and not a single grave marked the ground. The emptiness was overwhelming, and the mystery only deepened as they searched for any sign of what had happened. 2 carvings were discovered. One word, Croatoan, etched into a sturdy post, and the letters Crow carved into a nearby tree. These were the only clues left behind. Croatoan was the name of a nearby island, home to a friendly, Native American tribe. The carvings suggested the colonists might have sought refuge there, but no one could be certain. Importantly, there was no Maltese cross carved anywhere, a prearranged sign that would have indicated danger or forced departure. This meant the colonists had left of their own free will, but why, and to where, remained a mystery. It was a single cryptic clue in a world that had vanished. The word Croatoan became the only thread connecting the lost settlers to the world they left behind. The settlers had disappeared without a trace, leaving only a word carved in wood, a silent message echoing through history. The trail ended as suddenly as it began. The mystery of Roanoke deepened, leaving behind questions that have haunted generations ever since. The word Croatoan became the focus of the search. White believed the colonists had moved to Croatoan Island, home to their ally Monteo. He prepared to sail south, but a violent storm struck. The ship's crew, more interested in privateering than rescue, refused to risk the journey. The search was abandoned before it began. Heartbroken, White returned to England, never seeing his family again. No one from his generation searched for the colonists again. The carving became a symbol. Was it a message, a warning, or something else? With no way to follow the trail, the clue became a riddle. The case was left with no witnesses, no suspects, and no answers. For centuries, the lost colony was just a story. As America grew, historians and archaeologists returned to the mystery. Digs on Roanoke Island confirmed the colony's location but revealed little about their fate. Artifacts proved the colonists were there, but not where they went. The search expanded to Hatteras Island, where English goods were found among native artifacts. DNA studies have hinted at possible links, but nothing conclusive. 4 centuries of storms and erosion have erased most evidence. What remains is fragmented, like a puzzle missing most pieces. Every promising lead has ended in another dead end. The frustration only deepens the mystery. With little evidence, theories abound. The most accepted, the colonists joined the Croatoan tribe, assimilating to survive. This explains the lack of bodies and the dismantled settlement. They became part of another culture. Another theory: they were attacked, perhaps by hostile tribes, or the Spanish. but there's no sign of violence. Some suggest they tried to sail back to England and were lost at sea, or that disease scattered them. No graves have been found to support a plague. Others believe the colony split, some to Croatoan, others inland. A hidden fort symbol on White's map and English pottery found inland support this. Each theory explains some facts, but none solve the mystery. The truth remains elusive, balanced between possibility and speculation. The Roanoke mystery resists a simple answer. It's a puzzle with too many missing pieces. Where history ends, legend begins. In North Carolina, the lost colony is woven into local folklore. Stories tell of native tribes with gray eyes and light hair, descendants of the colonists perhaps. The Lumbee people claim ancestry from Roanoke, pointing to English surnames in their families. While science can't confirm it, the belief endures. Not all legends are hopeful. Ghost stories abound. Some say Virginia Dare's spirit appears as a white doe in the woods. These tales keep the memory of the colonists alive. Legends fill the gaps left by history, giving shape to the unknown. The lost colony has become both a myth and a mystery. The Lost Colony is now an American legend. It's inspired books, plays, and films, each offering new theories. The name Roanoke is shorthand for unsolved disappearance. The Lost Colony outdoor drama has been performed since 1937, drawing millions to Roanoke Island. Tourists visit the site, hoping to glimpse the truth. The mystery fuels curiosity and connects people to the past. The colonist's story is now part of American identity. It represents the dangers of the frontier and the power of the unknown. The fascination endures because the story lies between history and legend. What really happened to the Roanoke colonists? After 4 centuries, we still don't know. Every theory has merit, but none have proof. The mystery endures because it resists explanation. In an age of information, Roanoke remains unsolved. It reminds us that some secrets may last forever. Unsolved mysteries ignite our imagination and invite us to become detectives. The story is a personal quest for anyone who engages with it. Roanoke is not just history, it's an invitation to wonder. The colonists faced the unknown with hope, only to vanish. Their fate is a humbling reminder of our own vulnerability. Sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones that never end.